And we are Velocities and Music, VIMTV. For those of you who voted in our previous episode for Deerhoof versus Evil, thank you very much. This is the episode you get to watch now. Maybe this came as the second one, but we really don't know yet. So thanks for playing the game. We're going to do this from time to time. So keep watching. If you get to the end of our episode and we ask what you want to see next, you might get to pick the next episode. As far as Deerhoof versus Evil goes, it's Deerhoof's 9th album. Can you believe that? That's so many albums. And that's only in the span of like 10 or 11 years.
They released very frequently.
Didn't they start in like 97?
Sometime in the
So it's been 14, but 9 albums in 14 years, that's insane, people. That's insane. So Deerhoof versus Evil. And we have gotten the comment that there are a lot of deer bands out there.
It's true.
And there really is. We need a hunting season of some sort. Now, this album, there's one word to describe this album, and that's spastic. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Tito?
Quirky.
Yeah, quirky.
I mean, it's just all over the place.
Yep.
And it's actually a pretty short album, and what it does in that short time span is just crazy. Mm-hmm. There's no other way to put it. It's just
you almost
nuts.
don't even feel how short the album actually is.
Yeah, just because of all the places that it goes, so...
Yeah, but this, I mean, if you want to draw comparisons to what this sounds like, you gotta, first of all, you're gonna need to take like Ritalin or Adderall or some sort of or speed. Yeah, that'll help. Flaming Lips, Dirty Projectors, St. Vincent, Man, Beck, Radiohead, Yeasayer, Mew. They all kind of have all that kind of, that quirky, experimental, indie pop vibe. But it's literally accelerated at the pace of, a mountain lion just rushing at you. That's what you're going to get when you listen to this. It's intense how they just bombard you with sound. And there's absolutely no structure to any of these songs. They bounce all over the place. They may go back to something that they started in their songwriting, but they're not going to stay there for very long. And as they develop these ideas, so what you get is this really diverse album with all these different sounds, lots of great guitars. One of the things I want to point out about this album, Tom, is all the fantastic instrumentation on this album. Mm-hmm. The drums are incredible. The bass parts are incredible. Yeah. The guitars, there's always a cool thing going on in the guitars. And that's something that I really love. Now, you don't get a lot of that because as time progresses, they switch it too fast. Before you really start to get into the groove and understanding what they're doing, they change it all on you. Mm-hmm. And I know that that's something that bothered you. It is
something that bothered me a little bit. And the thing is, I mean, this album would have been ruined if they had gone for some like pop format structured song. I'm not saying they should have done that at all. Mm-hmm. But I think with all the great ideas that are on here, but then how willing they are to just abandon them and move on to something else right when you're starting to adapt to it, I found it to be kind of frustrating. Mm-hmm. And especially when you compare it to the fact that this album is, just a little over 30 minutes.
See, and I never even noticed that.
No, because everything moves so fast. You go so many places on this album that you barely even notice, like I said. But still, it says to me they had more time to play with. Mm-hmm. And I think that this album would have benefited, at least for me, if they had taken some of those ideas and just done them 1 or 2 repeats longer. Just so that some of the songs, because there are some great songs in here, but to me, not enough. And I think that what would have made a lot of the songs better is if they had taken a main idea and fleshed it out a little more, not just jump to something else so quickly, so that the song could actually be grounded and anchored in something that you could come back to.
Yeah, it's almost like they were doing it just to say that they did it. It's artistic expressionism just to be expressive artistically.
It didn't have it to me. It didn't seem to be entirely justified. It didn't seem to have too much of a point. Especially when you consider the fact that they had more time to revisit these ideas if they had wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that this will undoubtedly turn people off as being just weird sounding. Now, I challenge those people to actually sit down and figure out what they're doing. And it's going to take some patience. It's going to take some time because you're going to have to dissect the different parts and pieces of all these structures that are constantly changing on you. Yeah. So you're gonna have to give this your all to do it. But I think that if you do that, you're going to find some truly rewarding music underneath all that. Now I agree with Tom, but Tom, I think that it just affected me less because I loved how original this sounds. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, I mentioned a whole lot of bands, but they really don't sound like any of those bands per se. It's just that they all kind of sound generally similar. Now, I think that originality is something that I just want to see, and everything that I hear musically, and the creativity, there's not really, the closest thing you get to a normal pop song is track 6, Super Duper Rescue Heads, which is my favorite track on the album, and probably will go down as one of my favorite tracks of 2011. I'm going to say that already, because I love that track. I've listened to that track over and over and over again, but, I can't get away from just the general mood of this. It's just such a good, to me, it's just such a fun album to listen to and analyze. How can you not just fall in love with Deerhoof versus Evil?
And one thing that I loved about this album that adds to that originality is that you have these just crazy, huge instrumentals, and then the main vocalist, there's some other vocalists on here, but the main, female vocalist voice is just so cute. It's just so, petite and adorable. But it's just against this, noisy, brash background a lot of the time, and that's something that you never hear.
Right.
Right. It's such a cool contrast between those two layers of the sound.
St. Vincent did that.
Yes, for sure, for sure. I don't even think to this extreme.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah, I like this album. One thing that I have to say, you can't listen to this just once. I listened to this the first time and I was like, what the hell just happened? And then I listened to it 2 or 3 more times and I was like, okay, I like this a lot more now.
Right.
But definitely give this a chance. Give it a chance.
I like this. I enjoyed it. I think it's one of the better albums that I would recommend it to all of you guys. I'm going 83.
I'm going to go 70.
Yeah. So a little bit of displacement between our scores. I mean, Reb Tom, not really the wrong way, but just you didn't love it like I did.
No.
I thought it was very good. So what do you guys think? Are you loving Deerhoof versus Evil? Are you loving it, or are you kind of feeling, this is a little overboard? Because, I could see arguments to both sides. It really just comes down to emotional appeal and which way that it rubbed you, for lack of a better expression. So tell us what you think at www.velocitiesinmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesinmusic. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV. Thanks for watching. We're moving music critique forward.